You good? Okay.
Jen is now joining.
Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the April 21st, 2020 Board of Selectmen's meeting. We're going to have Laura start us off, and then we'll set some ground rules, and then we'll go from there. Okay? All right, Laura.
Alrighty. This is the introduction to the remote meeting. This open meeting of the Mendon Select Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 24th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of this meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Mendon Select Board is convening by telephone conference as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. You're all set, Chris.
Thank you, Laura. So just a few ground rules. We're going to ask all participants to please mute their phones or their mics, except for the select board and our administrative assistant and town administrator. Note all the materials for the meeting has been available online through the Novus or town website for the public. Each agenda item will start with the select board discussion. The chair will then call for specific participants as described on the agenda. The chair will then open it up to participant comments and questions. At that point, you're going to need to take your phone off of mute if you would like to make a comment or question, and then I would ask you to put your phone back on mute after your comment has been made. We're just trying to keep down the background chatter. Lonnie, can you explain the directions again for those who have dialed in?
Absolutely. So anybody, sorry, there's one more. I'm just admitting one more in right now, so I don't have to say it again. Okay. So again, if you're using the app or using the web connection, go ahead and you can have your, if you move your mouse in front of the screen, it should give you the ability to turn your camera off or mute your microphone. If you are dialed in via the phone for your audio, *6 will unmute you if you wanted to say something. So you would just press the *6 key on your phone to come off of mute. And then when you're finished speaking, we can either put you back on mute, or I would assume *6 sends you back in to the mute mode. We do have the ability to mute all. So if things start getting out of hand, you may just get a mute all, and then you'll hear one person start to say, okay, let's open this back up again. We do not have the ability to unmute you, so you have to do that yourself.
Thank you, Lonnie. Participants will be asked to state their full name and their address for the record. Just note that all votes will be taken by roll call from the board, and the meeting minutes will reflect the remote status. If technical difficulties do arise, the chair can suspend the meeting while attempts to resolve are made. So that's it on the ground rules. I'm going to open it up for a quick citizen statements and petitions. Go ahead, Dan. Great, Dan. Thank you so much. Are there any more citizen statements and petitions? I'll just give it a quick second in case somebody has to unmute. Okay, hearing none, I will move on to correspondence of the board. I will say that for Lonnie and Mark, we did receive some correspondence that we've.
Hello, Chris.
Yes,
Excuse me. I'm sorry. This is Amy Wilson-Kent, Senior Services Director at the Senior Center,
hi, Amy.
2 Providence Street. Hi. I just had a couple notices. I'd like to give a shout out from the Mendon Council on Aging and myself to the Mendon townspeople and local businesses that have supported the food pantry, including Front Steps Photography last month. And also to Neighbor Brigade, who the entity that's been delivering food to people
Is now
in
exiting.
need that cannot get the food here at the Senior Center. I also would like to say I'm going to be updating the town's webpage under the Senior Center. I have a list there of things that we need, and people have been asking and calling, so that will be updated tomorrow. Also, I would like to let folks know that fuel assistance, federal fuel assistance, which is overseen by SMOC out of Framingham, and our office has been extended until May 29th. So if anyone has any need for food or for fuel assistance, they can please call the Senior Center at 508-478-6175 or email us at coa@mendonma.gov. and they can receive confidential assistance.
Thank you very much, Amy. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's great, a great shout out, and thank you for all your hard work. Any other citizen statements? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to move on to correspondence to the board. Mark and Lonnie, we did receive some correspondence. I believe that you've seen it. We've passed it off to the appropriate departments and boards that are responsible for that correspondence. Kim's following it, and we'll just track it as it comes. Okay. So that brings us to agenda number 4, which is to consider the award of the Taft Library feasibility study. Do we have somebody on from the library that wants to talk about this, or Kim, do you want to talk about this?
I'm here. This is Amy Fahey, Chair of the Library Board of Trustees.
Hi, Amy.
Hey, how are you?
Amy.
Hello. So Andrew's on the meeting too, in case he wants to pipe in. But anyway, so this is the contract for a feasibility study. It's a $25,000 contract that that Brian Murray, Representative Brian Murray, got earmarked for us for Mendon last year. He had put in a request for this, knowing that he wanted to put in something for us, and he knew that there were no plans for the rectory so far, and that having something like this done and on the books would be useful for when the town does, have the opportunity to do something with the building. So and I believe he put it through as funding from the MBLC, which is the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, because he thought it would have a better chance of approval by the MBLC. I'm not really sure about that, but
I believe. I'm sorry. I believe that is true.
Okay, Andrew, thanks. But just to let you all know, we as a board of the library, we don't have any plans to, go forward with any construction projects or anything. This is just strictly informational. We have the money, so we want to spend it. So we got the money in January and found out we had to spend it by the end of June. So that didn't give us a lot of time to get an RFQ issued, draw it up, get it issued, get responses, get the work done, and pay for it by the end of June. But we did put something together. And basically, we had the designers consider 3 options for the rectory. And we looked at it as either demolishing it and building a new facility. And all these options were drawn to consider use by the town boards and committees, residents, as well as the library. So we thought, tear it down, build a new one, tear it down and put up like a pavilion of sorts that we could hold events in, something with a covering. We could put solar panels on, a concrete pad, have book sales and any other kind of public events or performances. And then the third option being tear it down, landscape the space to make it somewhat useful, for public use and library programming. And, figuring we really had no way to, to back up, we only considered demolition of the rectory because I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago, we had Abacus who had renovated the library, the church for the library. Just give us some ideas. What do you think about the building? Is there any way we could renovate it, cost effectively and still have useful space? And it looks like the answer was no. That's what we determined, given ADA requirements that would have to be incorporated as public space. And then given the amount of space you'd be left with, it really wasn't very useful. So we really need to figure out how much this was going to cost to demolish the rectory, especially given that the water tank is in the basement for the library. We'd have to do something with that. You can't just tear it down and fill it in with dirt. So this was just a fantastic opportunity to have it analyzed. So we didn't have to go out to bid because it was only a $25,000 contract. So we got to issue it to select designers. So we chose 4. I happen to work in construction, so I knew 4, and of course, one of those was Abacus. And we sent the RFP to 4 designers and 2 responded, including Abacus. And the board met and approved and voted to hire Abacus. So where we stand now, you have the contract there. I believe you have a copy of the RFQ. And to give you some more background into what we're looking for and to include anybody in town who really wants to join us is, we want to keep, we're not thinking of a big design. We're trying to keep it simple, probably 1 level, because the more levels you have, the more expensive that gets. But some kind of flexible, multi-purpose space that can be used for gatherings, activities, maybe performances, library programming, but as well as any other kind of programming the town might want to do. And we were thought, for at least 75 people. And then in addition to that, maybe try to incorporate some private meeting space for at least 10 people. We know there's very little of that in town. And having a community kitchen would be awesome. We thought and very well used as well. So we also want people to keep in mind that what we're asking for from Abacus is a very high level set of schematic design drawings, based on our input, as well as cost estimates for each of those options. And so that if down the road the town is ready to do something with the building, they could look at the schematics and say, you know what, no, it doesn't work for us. Let's do something else. And a designer can easily change those plans. But it's nice to have Abacus doing it because they can do so much for us now, knowing all that knowing all that they do, given the work that they did in the library. So moving forward, if this is all set to go, we will invite all the town boards and committees to send us their ideas, as well as the Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops, for how they would like to use the space if it doesn't seem like it would be incorporated in what I just outlined. We're meeting with Abacus for a kickoff session Wednesday night, but we will be meeting with them soon after that. And they know that we're reaching out to other people, other organizations. So we'll invite that input. People could even join us for the meeting on Wednesday night if they'd like. It's posted on the website. But certainly we'll ask for information, for input by email, and ask for like a 1-week turnaround, because it's really, really tight getting this work done. But Abacus isn't worried about it. They've worked with towns. That's pretty much what they do. And they've done a lot of libraries and community space, and we're excited to get going. So Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, but that's all I have.
Yeah, just, Amy, you might have said this already and I might have missed it, but what was Abacus's, price to do this feasibility study?
Well, the contract cannot exceed 25,000, so it's not really part of the submission. We didn't ask for a proposal. We asked for a set of qualifications and how they would approach it. So that would be in the contract for the amount, whatever we pay them, it can't exceed 25,000. So chances are it's going to be 25,000.
Are you,
That's how it'll be.
are you comfortable that Abacus is going to be able to give you the level of detail that you're hoping for within that 25,000?
Absolutely. We work with them, on the renovation of the library, and I found them to be very thorough, very thoughtful, and always budget conscious, and as well as very sustainably minded. And I think Don Moran's on the call and Andrew, and they might agree that I think we really got a lot for our money, and the fact that they have so much documentation already. I mean, the other designer would have had to collect all the information that Abacus already has. And plus just the understanding of the building, of the lot, everything that went into that. They're miles ahead, and they take their work really seriously. They're just great to deal with.
Good. Certainly trust their qualifications. I just, $25,000 to do this type of study should be enough. What we can't do is have them come back to the well, because we're not going to give another dollar towards it. And,
Exactly.
because we can't afford to do that, at least in my opinion. If you feel that, that $25,000 is going to get you exactly what you need, and we have it, and it's a grant, and thank you, Brian Murray, for assisting with that. I think that's fine with me. Mark, Lonnie, do you guys have any questions or comments?
No, I think I'm good there.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Kim, do you have any other input on this, Kim, that you'd like to say?
No, I just wanted to say, I think it's great that we got this 25,000 and that we have a chance to actually take a look at it, and hopefully someday something will come of it. I know a lot of people have had questions over time about the rectory and its future, and at least they can know that this isn't town funds being used to do the study, and we can have some answers. So happy to see it go forward.
Okay, and I assume Cindy's working on the contract, right, Cindy? And everything that we would need?
That part's already done with the RFQ. So now when the contract comes in, it'll be reviewed.
It'll be reviewed from Cindy.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well,
All right.
yeah, we do have the contract. I was hoping to get that signed.
Yeah, I thought that's what I heard you say. That's why I was asking
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
aren't
and-
exactly positive what names go on the signature page there.
Yeah, so obviously pending council review and town administrator review, so. Lonnie, I'll take a motion on this.
Yep, sorry. I move to award the Taft Library feasibility study to Abacus Architects and Planners, 199 Braintree Street, Boston, Mass, to authorize the town administrator to execute the contract.
Second.
Okay, is there any public comment on this?
Yeah, Chris, this is Don Moran, 36 Crestview Drive. Having worked, as Amy stated, having worked with Abacus on the project, they are the best company to do this. Like she said, there is some stuff goes through the breezeway into the basement of the current rectory, so that needs to be intact. They are the right people to do this, and they are very easy to work with. Highly recommend them 100%.
Oh, thank you, Don, for saying that.
I just wanted to reinforce what Don was saying. Working with David Eisen from Abacus in the past was an excellent working relationship. He understands the library building, obviously. And I think, in terms of his vision and what he can bring to the table, I'm absolutely thrilled to have him come aboard and Abacus come aboard to give us an idea of what could possibly be done with the space, somewhere down the road. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Burke, aye.
Tenio, aye.
Real eye.
Okay, have at it, guys. Can't wait to see what you come up with.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to consider some Chapter 90 project requests for Blueberry Drive, Butler Road intersection, Cranberry Court, Hartford Ave West, Nelson Court, and Vincent Road. Do we still have Alan on the line? Alan?
Alan, just so you, he's leaving. Hold on, give him a sec. It was muted, so he might not have heard the stuff.
Alan Tatro.
There he is.
Is now exiting.
Oh, give him a sec.
Why don't, should we,
Let's see if he comes in. One sec.
we'll give him a second. We can jump over this real quick too. Why don't we jump over this, Lonnie? We'll go to consider the appointment of David Rustick, and then if he jumps on, we'll go back. How's that?
Okay.
All right, so I'll take a motion on number 7, Lonnie.
I move to appoint David Rustick to the Board of Registrars for a term to expire March 31, 2023.
Second.
Okay, I'll have a discussion on that. Ellen, are you still on?
I am here.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So we had a vacancy open up. A registrar's term was up. So I asked one of the town committees to recommend somebody. They did not. I had a citizen approach me. David Rustick said he would like to do it, and he has been a registrar before, so he knows the ropes.
Okay, great. I know David. He's a great guy. Lonnie, Mark, you guys got any comments on that?
No, I know David personally as well. He'd be a great addition to the team.
Yep. I also know David, so I think that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, about time we're starting to rope him into doing something in town. Okay, all in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Real eye.
Burke, aye. All right, welcome, Dave. Did we get Alan back on?
I don't see him. I'm going to call him real quick and assist him. Okay, I'm just going to mute myself.
Okay. We'll give it a second.
Alan Tatro.
Is now joining.
There he is. So
There.
Alan, you come in muted, so if you could press the *6 key on your dial pad, that should unmute you. There you go.
All right, Alan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I've been fighting my way through this here. I'm trying.
Just doing a good job, Alan.
Oh my God. Hey,
All right.
yeah, so this Chapter 90 project is, I've been kind of preparing to do this for the last couple of years, crack sealing and trying to clean up some of these roads. So what I'm going to do is, this would be, I have to clean the shoulder down somewhat with a cold planer, shim that in, and then I'm going to chip seal everything. That's the project. Are you there?
Yep, we're listening.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I want to do to all of these streets. Hartford Avenue West, as everybody knows, is one of our largest streets. And before it gets in too bad a shape, we'll buy some time on that road. And then as far as Vincent and the other ones over there, before they get too bad, this will again buy us some more time to get some other projects done.
Cool.
Okay.
And then after this is done, I'll have about 60,000 left in chapter 90. Just in case, I go over with a little bit of something, or there'll be some extra money left over to do some other work and some other stuff.
Okay. All right. Mark, you have any questions on this?
No, I don't.
Lonnie,
No, I'm good, thank you.
any public comment on this? All right, hearing none. I'll call for a motion.
I move to approve the chapter 90 project request for Blueberry Drive, Butler Road intersection, Cranberry Court, Hartford Ave West, Nelson Court, and Vincent Road in the amount of $252,580.45.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Real eye.
Tenio, aye, sorry.
Burke, aye. Okay, all right, go to it, Alan, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Let's discuss the regional dispatch. We still got Chief Kersey on the line.
Alan Tatro.
Is now exiting.
Chief, you gotta do *6 if you're coming in on a dial. Hold on. Oh, there he goes. He's unmuted.
Okay. Chief, you there?
Okay. Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, so the letter that you're looking at, Kim worked on that, I think, with some of the other town managers. What we have to do is the development grant. That's a grant that regional dispatch can apply for every year for equipment. We have to provide a letter to Metacomet saying that we are currently talking to them about regional, because what we have currently is Millville has a tower that we need to build. We have some upgrades we have to do for fire and police, and we're going to put into that through Mendon, but they're also going to put in through it through Metacomet, just to hold up. If we go with them for some reason, or if we explore their option, we still have all that available to us. If that doesn't transpire and we stay as our own regional, then we still have it available to us. So we kind of have to apply twice, both ways. And this letter will allow them to apply for the same equipment that we were applying for. So no matter what, hopefully we will get it.
Okay, so just
Does that
to,
make sense?
yeah, no, it does, it does. So just for the audience.
And that's due May 4th, so that's why every year it's May 4th. So the thing is, if only one of us applies for it and say they apply for it and we don't do regional with them, we're going to lose out on it, or and vice versa. If they apply for it and we don't go regional, we got to wait till May 4th again to apply for it. So what the state wants us to do is just do it twice.
Yeah, so Chief, for the sake of the listeners and anybody who wants to listen to this online, we're basically attesting that we're interested in researching the possibility of regionalizing with Metacomet Emergency Communications Center. So we're looking at this right now as an option to regionalize and possibly have them take on our dispatch. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, we're still where we were a few months ago, just an exploratory stage of it where conversations are going back and forth, and we're waiting for some type of proposal from them so we can present it to you. So myself and Chief Kessler can present it to you, and Kim, and you guys can decide which route you want to take with it.
Okay, great. Kim, do we have a letter here that you've prepared? Do we as a board need to take a vote on this since we've already discussed our interest in this?
I would take a vote that basically says you agree to send this letter. It doesn't have to be more formal than that. It has to be signed by the chair, or you can vote to authorize me to sign it. It's up to you.
Okay, great. That being said, I'll take a motion to send the letter.
I move to send a letter to Metacomet Regional Dispatch. And I authorize Kim to sign it. Seeing that way, you don't have to try to come in, Chris.
Perfect.
Isn't the letter to, is the letter to Metacomet or to the state?
No, State 911 Department.
Sorry. I move to send a letter to the State 911 Department as discussed, to be signed by Kim, the town administrator.
Second.
Okay, any public comment on any of this? All right, hearing none. All right, all in favor?
Real eye.
Tenio, aye.
Burke, aye. All righty. Thank you, chief, on that. Okay, let's go to number 8, to consider a junk dealer's license. This is Bob White at 50 Cape Road. Take a motion, Lonnie.
I move to approve a junk license for Bob White, 50 Cape Road.
Second.
Any discussion on this? This is just our annual license. Mark, do you have any questions? Lonnie? Any
No.
questions? Okay.
I do not.
Any public comment on this? All in favor?
Real eye.
Tenio, aye.
Burke, aye. Okay. Very good. It's number 8. Number 9 is consider creating a Council on Aging building fund to accept a donation for the Council on Aging building fund. Okay, I'll take a motion on this.
I move to create a Council on Aging building fund to accept donations for the Council on Aging building.
Okay. Kim, you want to update us on this?
Sure. I know that Amy's on the line and she can speak to it as well, but I know that in the wake of Sharon Cutler's passing, the family was very generous and asked that in lieu of donation for her, that they create the building fund for the senior center or take donations for the senior center. We don't have a mechanism to do that on its own. Otherwise, it would roll to the general fund. So the creation of this fund will allow the funds to stay with the intent.
Okay. Amy, do you want to add anything to that?
No, just, Sharon Cutler was a former select person, and also she was a 2012 Senior of the Year. She did a lot for this building and center, and I feel very honored. The family hadn't notified us that they were going to do this, so we were surprised when we started getting donations for this purpose. But I just want to say, good family. Sharon did a lot for the town, and I think it's very nice for them to want to have her be remembered this way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would once again like to publicly express our sincere condolences to the family. Sharon, really has done a tremendous amount for our community, and the senior center certainly was a very important piece of the town for her. And obviously, thank you to the family, for continuing her efforts forward and helping, to move the town forward as well. So, yeah, Sharon was a wonderful woman, and we really, really appreciate it. Mark or Lonnie, any comment on that?
No, I think I'm good. Maybe just one thing, in terms of expenditures out of that fund, who was going to be kind of overseeing that? And I guess I feel like, is this for a fund to contribute to future building, or is this something that we're setting up to address any sort of projects that come up that the current building may need? I guess that question's for Kim or Amy.
The way the donations, this is Amy speaking, the way the donations were written, in my mind, they're written for if any future building were to be created, not for this current facility.
Okay. All right, that's good. I'm good with that.
Lonnie? LT, you still
Sorry,
with
sorry.
us?
Yeah, sorry, I only hit the wrong button. No, just to echo your comments, I worked with Sharon on the Board of Selectmen when I was first elected before, and no, she was great to work with. I had a lot of fun. She did more for the town than just the selectmen, and maybe once we get through all this nightmare, we can maybe do something a little bit, something special for her as well. Once we're back to our regular meetings, and we can do something that might be a little better than just a discussion on a computer meeting.
Yeah, totally agree. Any public comment on this? Okay, I'll take a vote.
Tenio, aye.
Real eye.
Burke, aye. All right, thank you very much, Amy, and thank you very much to the Cutler family.
Thank you.
Okay, so consider ballot question language for override. Kim, you want to walk us through this?
Sure. So the board needs to approve the ballot language for the override. So right now, that is the amount that is being requested, the $1,045,033, based upon the $250,000 we have included in our budget that has not yet been approved. If that number changes, I know that they are planning on meeting later in the month. We can re-vote this again. Right now, because of the unknown timing of the town meeting, potentially to change again. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, we're planning on mailing out information. So hopefully, if anything changes, we'll have time to get the numbers right before it goes out.
Okay, great. All right, one of you guys want to read the motion? Lonnie, you want to read the motion?
Got it. I move to authorize a vote for a Prop 2.5 override to fund the following ballot question language. Shall the town of Mendon be allowed to assess an additional $1,045,033 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purpose of additional funding of the Mendon Upton Regional School District for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020?
In a second.
Second.
Any comments, Mark, Lonnie, on that?
I'm just gonna say that I'll be voting no on the override, but I'll support this motion.
Okay, Lonnie?
I don't have anything specific to say about it. It's, the school's requesting it. I feel that it needs to be put to the vote.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this? Let's see, like I do. All right, all in favor?
Real eye.
Tenio, aye.
Burke, aye. Okay. All right, discuss police station project. I assume we have Don and Cindy on the line still?
Don Moran, 36 Crestview Drive, I'm here.
I'm here.
Cindy?
I'm here too.
Okay. Somebody want to give us an update?
So Cindy, do you want to frame this or would you like me to?
Well, I'll give them the overview and you can fill them in with all the details. Okay, the latest ones from this afternoon. I did not have a chance to get back to them. We seem to be going around in circles over whether we're on 55, 56, what the problems are, what the problems aren't, what's going to happen in the future. Dawn, Patrick, their attorney, and myself had a rather spirited but friendly conversation this morning. And as a result, what we decided to do was to try to come up with some language that we could all work with. And the real problem comes down to, because they view this as splitting the project, their costs are going to be greatly increased according to them. And despite the fact that everything in your contract says They're responsible for safety. They're responsible for increased costs. You have the right to delay things. All they're entitled to is extra time, not money. What they really want to do is have language that would authorize or at least acknowledge that they're doing it effectively under protest, that they'll do the work and reserve the right to challenge the cost allocation down the road, which is not uncommon. What the difference between 56 and 55, if I understand it correctly, is the concern that a lot of the items that were in 56 that they put in for added costs are items they're already obligated to pay through the end of April. And they've agreed to take that out, and Don's working to come up with some language with Patrick for us to all look at that will essentially get us there. That the only thing they're looking for, but that we're not agreeing to pay for right now, are COVID-related expenses through the end of April. Then the question comes up, what happens at the end of April? And I said, at the moment, the selectmen have determined that the police station is not essential. Nothing can change that other than a vote of the select board or the governor ending his view of the world, which we don't think is going to happen. They would like the town to seek a request from the state that it is in fact essential. I agreed that I would update the select board on their requests in this regard and to get some sense from the board whether there's any interest in doing that. Keep in mind, none of that has to be done today. There's no reason, because everything that we need to do up until May 1st is in place. Whether the board wants to consider or reconsider its determination that the police station building is not essential, that's something for the board to discuss and determine. Whether the board wants to seek a determination from the state to resolve it once and for all, that's also something the board can determine. I don't think any of those are critical today. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Don, and also he's might have a different spin on it.
Thank you, Cindy. Don Moran, 36 Crestview Drive. Cindy basically gave a summary of where we are now. As you know, we were here 2 weeks ago. We presented you with change proposal 55, which you approved and authorized the building committee to approve and move forward with for time, but no money. Then they subsequently hit us with change proposal 56, which Cindy's referring to, which was for like $29,000, $28,000-ish, which included a lot of general condition costs, which they are not entitled to at this time because they're under contract through at least the end of April into the middle of May. So I worked with the architect this morning. They have issued a response to Tower asking them to revise change proposal 56, removing all those general condition costs, so that the new change proposal will be a total of around $4,800 to cover what they deem their COVID-19 related costs. Once we receive that from them, we would like your approval to move forward with issuing a construction change directive saying, yes, please continue with this work outside of the building. We will agree to give you a little bit more time to finish that, and we're going to put a clause in there that says the costs, the ownership of the costs will be worked out sometime in the future. And we'll leave that up to town council to work with their lawyer. That's really what we're looking at tonight.
If I could interject for one moment, I did make it perfectly clear that by putting in standard language where they're doing it essentially under protest regarding who's paying for it, and are agreeing to potentially have a CDD that would have language to the effect that we'll talk about costs down the road, that in no way was that to be construed as any sort of agreement that the town will pick up any additional cost. Whether we agree to or not down the road is another question, but just by putting the language in, it just is preserving their rights, but it's not giving up any of our rights to ultimately say no if that's what we feel is the right answer.
So, and just to add to that, the site work is continuing. If you've been by the site, you can see that the curbing is in, the parking lot is pretty much demolished, and we're hoping to have most of that outside work completed in the next couple of weeks. So that is continuing. And they're also hoping to get, they may not get all the outside work because we might not want to do landscaping because they might get trashed with some other work that still needs to be done with the building. So most of the outside work will be completed in the next few weeks.
They were very adamant that they would really like to just get this project done. They are also going to put together a different proposal because they think if they understand that if they have any chance of going forward on the inside of the building now, they will have to front the costs of the COVID compliance issues. That will be on them under the same protest concept that we can discuss who's responsible for it down the road. Their argument being it might not be much different in cost to proceed complying with COVID indoors now, as opposed to demobilizing and remobilizing and essentially getting everyone back on the job later down the road. I don't have any basis for thinking that's true or untrue, or whether it's something the board wants to consider or not, but we can expect to see some sort of document from them putting that out there. Is that a fair statement, Don?
That is correct. So after we move forward with this construction change directive, they will be bringing forward a new proposed change to take effect post May 4th, depending on what the governor decides. It'll be, this is what we expect the project to cost now that the guidelines are removed, or this is what it will cost now that the guidelines have been extended to whatever, May 31st, June 15th, whatever that happens to be. If you want to pursue the building, this is what it would cost you with the current COVID-19 guidelines still in place. We're not prepared to talk about that tonight, but we will have hopefully something for you in the next week or so for that next step.
Okay. I think what I heard is a few things. Contractually, what I'm hearing is that we could allow them to extend. It's to their decision if they extend. So if we don't classify the project as essential, that schedule can be pushed out. There's no monetary impact to the community. We're just pushing it out. And if they have to remobilize, that's to their expense or whoever they do it. We can't control that the governor shut the state down, and COVID shut the world down. We just can't control that. I think the second thing that I heard is technically they can continue on doing the outside work. But I think what the concern about the monetary expenses is just COVID related. Is that what I heard you saying? I just want to make sure that I'm clear.
That is correct. So the new proposed change order that we expect to get back from them tomorrow will be, we'll continue with the site work over the next few weeks, and the cost for that site work will be something less than $5,000. We're way south of the $28,000 they were originally hitting us up with.
That's what I was going to ask you. All right. So, and that's helpful. So to your point, there's really no decision that this board really needs to make, except that if we wanted to change our position tonight, which we don't have to tonight, is if we want to go to the state and ask them to deem this project essential or not. And then but then if we deem it essential, we're trying to push this forward and they're going to do it under protest. They'll look at it as essential, but they'll do it under protest, and there potentially could be additional cost associated to that as well.
Right. Chris, can I just add one thing?
Sure.
So there is a bill, and Don, I don't know if you mentioned this or not, potentially costs anything that's COVID related post March 7th through some unspecified time at this point could potentially be reimbursable by the federal government because of COVID. So there's the possibility that costs associated with this for continuing might be covered.
Yeah, I don't like the word possibility. If I heard guaranteed.
So people are aware, this is the type of thing that could be covered by funding like that if it ever materialized.
Yeah.
And we also don't know who it would fall on. I mean,
right.
As your counsel, I'm going to say, okay, that's great. Let them front the money and let them get the money back.
Right.
So it's all a big unknown at the moment, like everything else from day to day.
Yeah. I think right now, the position that I'm in, Dawn, and Cindy, is from my standpoint, let's wait to see how the information comes out. And then have a second conversation, subsequent conversation, see what you come up with. Then I think it would be up to the board to make a decision on if we want to pursue treating this project as essential or still treating it as non-essential and delaying it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is done. I think that's the right approach. We don't have to discuss that at all tonight, and I would recommend not even discussing it tonight till we get more information.
Yep.
The only thing I would like, though, is confirmation from the board that the building committee is meeting tomorrow night. Our intention is that we'll have a revised change order 56, which will show the site work COVID-19 related cost around $4,800. And we want to issue a construction change directive to them to say, continue with the work. We'll give you a little bit more time for that. And we'll let the lawyers figure out who owns the cost sometime later.
I'm amendable to that. Lonnie, Mark?
It's acceptable to me.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, there's just one last clarification, if I may. When we talk about outside work, what we're really talking about is there may be a couple of things that are like attached to the building. Like for the site work to be completed, they need to tie in the downspouts into the drainage systems and stuff. So there might be a little bit of stuff outside the building. Basically, they're not going into the building. So I wanted to make it clear to you when we say no building work, it's all those restricted guidelines are really for people that have to enter a building. And we don't want anybody in the building. But there may be a couple of minor things they want to do outside the building to complete all the site work. And they might want to, there's one last thing on the building, and the building is not 100% secure right now. There's no, I believe it's the back door on the Sally Port. Chief Kersey can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's one door that's not completed that they just needed to finish the outside door. Once they do that, we could remove the fence and not need to secure the area anymore because we can secure the building. So there may be a few things that they're going to do just outside the building, just so you're clear when we say we're not working on the building, we're not going inside the building.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Any other comments, Mark, Lonnie, on that?
No.
Okay. So I'm fine with everything that you said. I don't think we need to take a vote on this. You just keep on proceeding the way that you are. I know that between your efforts and the building committee's efforts and Cindy having a watchful eye on it, we'll get through it. So appreciate the update.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. All right. So discussion on tax relief options. So, Kim, do you think we should read the motion first and then have a discussion, or do you think that we should have a overview of what we're talking about and then read a motion? What's your thoughts on that?
I think let's just do a little talk about how we got here, and then we can go from there. Okay?
Okay, go for it.
So the board may recall, we received some emails collectively, all of us, from residents asking for potential tax relief. I've received a couple of phone calls, and then last week, a couple members of the board asked to put this on for discussion this week, following the adoption in a couple of our neighboring communities. So Cindy has expanded out here in the motion the options that are available to the town under Chapter 53. And the board has the authority to adopt them in order to provide tax relief to residents. And so maybe now you want to go through what they are.
Okay. They're really outlined in the motion, so why don't we just read the motion, and then we can open it up for discussion. So go, Lonnie, you want to read the motion?
I move to adopt Chapter 53 regarding state and local taxes as follows. Extend the due date for real estate and personal property taxes to June 1, 2020. Extend the date and application for exemptions of taxes is due. Oh, is this written right? Extend the date and application for exemption of taxes is due from April 1 to June 1, 2020. Waive the payment of interest and other penalties for late payment of any excise tax, betterment, assessment, or apportionment thereof, water rate or annual sewer use or other charge added to a tax for any payments with a due date on or after March 10th, 2020, where payment is made after its respective due date, but before June 30, 2020. In the event of a late payment of any excise tax, betterment, assessment, or apportionment, water rate, annual sewer use, or other charge added to the tax for any payments with a due date on or after March 10, 2020, so long as paid before June 30, 2020. Never terminate any essential services such as water service, trash collection, or electricity due to a resident's failure to pay these taxes or fees if non-payment resulted from a demonstrated inability to pay.
Is now joining.
Due to the COVID-19 outbreak or the governor's declaration of state of emergency if paid on or before June 30, 2020. This inability to pay shall include demonstrated financial hardships of a resident, which may include but is not limited to events such as loss of employment or serious illness or death of someone within the home.
Okay, great. Mark, any comments on this?
Oh, I seconded when I was muted, so.
Okay.
No, I don't really have any comments other than I'm in support of this. I think that, if people can pay their taxes on May 1st, then, or whatever the date is, I believe it's
May 4th.
probably May 1st, depending on the day. But anyway, if they can pay it earlier, then great. But I think it provides that opportunity for people who are needing more time to get that extension. And so that's it. Yeah, I think it makes sense.
So I have a quick question. Jen, maybe you can answer this if you're still on.
Sure.
Just want to know that, so we're saying that the due date on or after March, so as long as it's paid before. So if it goes past the June 30, 2020 timeframe that it's still not paid, does the interest and penalties start to accrue starting the next day? Or is it retro and goes back to the original?
That's the
So
original.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so if you guys choose to vote for the second part, because there is 3 parts, the interest and penalties, the interest goes back to May 4th, which is our current due date. So they have to pay before June 30th, which basically means by June 29th, or interest accrues on the 30th for any payments not made from May 4th forward.
Okay, that answers my question. Thanks.
Does that make sense? So basically what you're doing is if you approve all 3 of these, the first one is just moving the date to a later date. Our date is May 4th, but you do need to specify the due date because you actually have a choice. according to the law. So in the first section, you have to specify the due date. Once you approve that, then if you're approving the exemptions, which I don't know if Jean's been talked to, but that's her part. That's the second. And then the third is they have till whatever date you choose, which I assume you're going to do June 1st. And then they still have an additional 29 days if you so choose to pay it late, interest-free, or basically where I waive the interest. But that's for personal property tax and real estate only. At this point, I am already waiving the excise because I have that authority under Mass General Law to waive the excise interest. So the third portion, the third bullet here only pertains to real estate and personal property tax really, because I'm already waiving it excise anyway.
Okay, sounds good.
The third part relates to taxes that have been leaned to your tax bill.
I'm sorry?
If you have water charges that are due and owing and have been leaned to your tax bill, that
Correct.
is waived.
Correct.
Okay.
It's all part of the real estate bill, yeah.
Cindy, is there any other legal interpretation that the board should be made aware of? I assume you wrote this motion, but is there any other legal interpretation that we need to be aware of that you can think of?
That motion is verbatim out of the language the state has suggested cities and towns use. It's been used by all sorts of cities and towns because none of us dare deviate because who knows how they're going to interpret anything. The only thing that I've seen some cities or towns change is the due date. I don't know, and it's really not my decision. Like I have at least one client that made the due date the 15th instead of June 1st.
Mhm.
But that's really the only kind of wiggle room I've seen anyone do.
I'm sorry, you can't change the date later than June 1st by law. June 1st is the latest by law that you can change the date.
But they couldn't, I've had towns not go as far as June 1st.
Oh, I thought you said June 15th.
No, I'm sorry. If I did, I misspoke. I meant May 15th.
Yes, okay, so that is correct. Of course, you can pick any date that you want. Most towns are doing June 1st. I'd say like maybe about half the state so far is moving to the June 1st. Some are just leaving it alone. Some are not doing the interest at all. But most of them are all doing the exemptions if they are going to do any of this. So it's kind of all over the place.
One quick second, Chris. Cindy, I did just mute you. We were just getting some feedback from you. So if you need to talk again, just unmute it, okay?
I was wondering where the feedback was coming from. Okay, I mean, this is helpful. I mean, I am clearly 100% in support of this. There's a lot of people out there struggling right now. There's a lot of people unemployed. Any assistance that we can certainly give to our citizens, we should be trying to. This is a mechanism where we can help. As Mark said, I totally agree with you, Mark. You know, that really this is something that we should be doing and is within our ability to do so. So I'm totally in favor of this.
Yes, me as well. Yep.
Okay.
This is Jean. This is Principal Assessor Jean Berthold speaking.
Go ahead,
Hello?
Jean. Yeah, go ahead, Jean.
I just wanted to make mention that this had not been discussed with our department. However, we would support the extension, although it needs to be said that this does not add any new exemptions. It does not change the qualifying date of July 1st, 2019, and it does not add any more exemptions. So all of the exemptions we've had in the past are in. We had a couple of late people that I went out and sought the applications and got them in timely. So this would just be for new applicants, but again, it does not change the qualification numbers or dates.
Great. Thank you for that update, Jean. That's helpful. Okay. Yep. Sure.
Yes, that is true. If anything else is to be contemplated, that would be done on a different level. This is only arising out of changes to the state statute, and you're absolutely correct. Things that are attached to your tax bill.
Great, Dan. Is there, did you have a second question? Because I think you said you had a couple of questions. Okay, great. All right. Any other public comment on this?
I would just like to say, I would like you to clarify, I know it says to a date not later than June 1st, but I would like you to clarify that it is going to be June 1st. And then I have some other notifications that have gone out through the treasurer collectors on how they've notified their residents. And if I could be a part of that for wording to get it out to them, that would be great.
Yeah, I would just say that any communications going out obviously should be run through through our town administrator, through Kim. But certainly your assistance is welcomed on that. And I agree about the June 1st. We're just going to set the date for June 1st. I assume that my colleagues would agree.
Yeah, the motion says the due date is June 1st.
Yeah, due date April 1st to June 1st.
It says to a date not later than
No,
June.
the motion says extend the due date for real estate and personal property taxes to June 1st.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't see that.
Yeah, it was in the motion.
That's the way the motion was written.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Cindy, you're still on mute. Let's see if we can get her off of mute.
Says she's gonna do it.
She's trying. Uh-oh. It always happens to Cindy, so she just went on mute. I just saw her go off of mute.
You know, I think it was right about this time last meeting too.
No, it has nothing to do with it. Don't even start.
I wasn't suggesting you. I was suggesting maybe Cindy has something better to do.
Well, I have her up here twice, Lonnie. I have her in here twice, so I'm wondering if that's.
Yeah, she is in here twice.
I only see her once.
I got her twice.
Oh. Oh, I have Cindy and Cynthia. Oh, because one of them was.
A computer and the phone.
Yeah. I'll get rid of that one.
And she's disconnected.
I hope you picked the right one, Lonnie.
Either way, she'd come back in. Well, I just muted her out. Then I don't know how she was in with this one. Is she out now?
Uh-oh.
There she is. All right, so now unmute that. Can you unmute that, Cindy?
That's muted. You there, Cindy?
Can you unmute? But I put you on mute. I know, but I can't unmute you. That would kind of be. Hold on. Yeah, I can't unmute.
Our first technical difficulty of the night. Right at the end.
You want to just jump back in? Want me to kick you out? I'm going to kick you out. Just jump back in. It's just use that link again. I'm going to kick you out.
Again.
All right, just give it a sec.
That's okay.
Yeah, I must say, for the most part, that was pretty painless.
Yeah, we're just going to give her a second with our first technical difficulty of the night for our town council. Bueller. Bueller.
I almost missed that recording, Lonnie. Do you think you could play it for us while we're waiting? That
Oh,
whole
please don't.
music?
The music?
Yes.
Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, please.
This doesn't feel right without it.
Waiting for the Jeopardy. Maybe you can call her and get her on speakerphone again, Kim.
All right. She says it's showing it. I'm just gonna call her.
What does she say it's showing?
It's showing her as unmuted.
She's not even in the meeting right now.
Hi, we're just gonna put you through this way. Oh, except for that horrible echo.
Hold on.
Here we go again.
Does that help?
We don't see you in the meeting at all, Cindy.
Tell her to close Teams. Oh my God, this is just like, how does this happen? She still has it open and somehow she's still in the meeting even though she was kicked out. Like it's through her office. She was in twice, probably once from her office, listening to it twice. That's what the feedback was. She was remoted into her office. She has it local on her machine.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead. You guys talk and I'll relay it to Cindy.
No, listen to me. She has to close Teams on both her computers. She has two computers running Teams.
You have to close Teams on both of your computers.
She's remoted in somewhere. It's gone. That's what all that feedback was.
She's out of Teams, yes.
Can you hear me only on your phone?
Yes, but they can hear, you can hear my phone through the computer.
Okay.
I'm off of it as far as I can tell.
Okay. Can you jot?
I get a blank screen.
Okay, aren't we almost done with Cindy? Can we
Yeah,
just
we
read
are.
it?
We
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. So she can hear you. Just keep going.
No, I can
Good.
only hear you because I shut out of the meeting.
Okay, well, they're not talking yet, so.
Oh, all right.
So we had asked Cindy a question, which now I'm totally losing my mind on what even the question was. Can you guys remember what the question
No,
was?
I don't think there was a question. She was just
Tom
trying to say
Morelli.
something based upon Jen's last statement. That's all.
Oh,
Is
Right.
now
I
joining.
remember.
Okay, go ahead, Cindy.
There are specific notification requirements to the public. I believe I sent them to Laura and maybe Kim.
Right,
There's a whole host of things in the guidance
robocall.
that you can do, and you post it on the website, you post it all over the place, post it on town hall. I'd post it on the library door. You can also do a reverse 911.
Mhm.
You just have to, and then I believe at the end you have to notify, I think it's the AG's office, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look it back up. That's all I wanted to say is there are specific notification requirements once you vote to do this.
Okay,
Great.
great. So that being said, why don't we get the communication worked out? So Jen, work with Kim and Cindy on the communication and the mechanism for that. Let's get the communication flowing and we'll go from there. I still have to take a vote on this, but is there any other public comment on this before I call for a vote? Okay, I hear none. All right, so all in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Real eye.
Burke, aye. Okay, so Jen, you'll work with Kim and Cindy and the mechanisms to get the communication. We'll get inform our citizens and we'll be good to go. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so Kim, I think Cindy, you're good to jump if you'd like.
Okay,
Well, actually, could you just stay for 1 minute?
sure.
I'm still only gonna take 30 seconds anyway, and I just, in case you know something that I don't know yet.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm on your phone.
Right. Okay, go ahead, Chris, sorry.
Well, it's just town administrator updates is our last agenda item. So I'm not sure what you need Cindy for on that.
I want to talk about town meeting dates. That's why.
Okay, all right, so why don't you,
In elections. So as you know, the state today decided to close schools through the end of the year. And on the call that I was on today, the Lieutenant Governor said that later this week, they would be releasing more details on the next phase of what that means for essential, non-essential, and for the rest of us. Right now, we are still closed through May 4th. So I am recommending that we meet again in a week, because I anticipate either way, we need to vote to extend that we're closed, or we have to do some sort of staffing change. And I also think at that time, we're going to be discussing whether or not we can realistically, even feasibly, have a town meeting at the school on June 1st. Cindy, have you heard anything about location questions in regards to this? If the school is closed, if we can still use the facilities, that sort of thing?
I know that that's a huge issue everywhere.
Right.
And I have not heard of any resolution. If the school is closed, that's generally because it's closed to the public for school purposes.
Right.
I don't know that would mean you could not hold a town meeting there if you could meet every guidance that you're supposed to be.
Right.
I know where town meetings are going to be held. Is very much a hot button topic, particularly as we approach June and May.
Right.
So we're also waiting to see more information, and I think a weekly meeting is a good thing because things are changing so fast, and as soon as I hear anything, I'll forward it along, but I have not heard anything yet
Okay.
that goes beyond what we already know.
Okay. That's all. I just think we're going to have some more information within this week. And so we need to have just a quick meeting next Tuesday in order to make some changes if we have to.
hey, I'm just gonna throw a wild idea out here. Because this is so fluid and we always obviously want to get our town meeting done, is there a way, and this is just a stupid thing to say, but is there a way we could work with the drive-in and have it down in the drive-in? Everybody could sit in their car and they could beep their horn if they're yay or nay, or flip their lights on and off or whatever. I mean,
You could
Oh my God.
the big screen for the question.
I don't even want to speculate at this moment about that.
I don't either, but I'd have to say that's not the most insane thing I've heard.
No, I mean,
We're talking about outside in the football stadiums.
I did just read an article today that they wrote in order to try to get the facility reopened just for movies. So who knows? Many things could change between.
we could put Lonnie and Mark right up there on the big screen.
You can do shadow puppets.
It might be something that we'd want to think about
Tom Morelli.
and talk about the technology that would be required.
Is now exiting.
If we wanted to do that, maybe we have a moderator that doesn't, we do questions through cell phones or something like that. I don't know.
Well, we have to wait and see what the state will allow us to do, really. That's why we're all in the same boat, which is kind of good because all towns are wondering what's next.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, anyway, something to think about.
It's not a completely ridiculous option at this point.
We always wanted to be in movies.
Can I just jump in on the meeting date? It doesn't matter to me what day it is, but if we're just trying to be as close to that May 4th date as possible, do we want to meet on the 1st? I mean, I know it's a Friday, but Fridays are just the same as Tuesdays nowadays. I mean, it's not like we're going out, you know? So it's up to everybody else, but I'm just saying that gets us the closest to the 4th with anything that may happen next week.
I'm cool with Friday.
I'm not going anywhere.
I personally think you ought to be looking at the latest you can push this out.
For the town meeting or just for this vote?
Oh, for the town meeting.
Yeah, right. So
this vote, you don't have to do anything about the date tonight.
right, we're not. So the question, I honestly don't even think a week from now we'll have the information that we need to move town meeting yet. But I do think we'll have some information about extending closure of buildings. So Friday's fine. Even the Monday right before the 4th is fine, but I don't think it gives people a lot of time to prepare.
The Monday before the 4th is a Monday.
Oh, I thought it was a Tuesday.
No.
Okay. Well, then there you go.
Yeah, that's why I was saying the 1st is Friday. That gives, people the weekend if we have to make decisions, I mean, we don't even know if we're opening on the 4th. Right now, that's the date we have. But I mean, I don't know, people are changing their mind like crazy. So, but some states are starting to already open up, like Tennessee and Georgia. So, I mean, maybe that's a good sign.
Okay. All right, so we just need to pick a date for our next meeting is really what it comes down to, and we can debate it then, so.
Yep.
Your call, because I'm open for anything, Chris, whatever works best for you.
It's fine with me either way also. Mark, what's your availability? Got it?
It's a really tight schedule these days, but
Staring at dust bunnies doing laundry.
Do you want to try to do it earlier in the day?
No, I mean, that doesn't, yeah, I don't care. I can always be flexible. I don't know what their schedule is.
Yeah, I could probably start at 5 or something like that would be easier
yeah,
for
I
me.
could start at 5.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm just thinking we probably all want to be done for the week by 5.
Yeah, and maybe we just keep this meeting specific to only adjustments to that or anything that's
That comes up, right?
the emergency. Yeah, don't just start adding willy-nilly crap on it.
No, we want to be quick. It's just for this. Okay. I am
Okay.
sending it now.
All right. All right, sounds good. Anything else, Kim, on your administrator updates?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, Cindy, I'm gonna let you jump then. I don't think there's any reason for you to
Yes,
stay
we
on
good.
conference call, so thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Cindy.
very much, Cindy.
I'll be here for the whole meeting.
All right, we'll try, Cindy, one step at a time.
There you go.
All right, bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too, thanks, bud.
Bye.
And did we have any other topics not reasonably anticipated, Kim?
I don't believe so.
Yes. Sure. I'm sorry, I keep on hitting mute by accident. Kim, we haven't really discussed when we're gonna try to do the joint budget because we've been dealing with so much of this stuff.
Right.
What's your thoughts on trying to get this budget wrapped up? And when do you think we should try to have
Sure.
that?
So I have been in constant contact with the chair of the FinCom. I see he's on the line too. We are very aware of having to move the dates back, but also having to have public hearings and really finish up the budget process. From a actual completion standpoint, the budget is complete. It's in the last version that we saw a month or so ago is still the same version. What hasn't been done at this point is the final vetting of some departments' budgets by the FinCom, and then the joint meeting with the public hearing of the budget. I believe Mike is planning on having a meeting of the FinCom either next Wednesday or the following Wednesday. And that really, he's just been waiting to see with the anticipation that we would be moving the dates out again. So as soon as he has a date, we'll know.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Mike, if you wanted to say something, I muted you. We were getting feedback.
It sounds like he called Lonnie, so.
I had to shut the
Is
phone
now
off
exiting.
here through my speakers, but all I can tell you is that we're planning on having a FinCom meeting next week. There was no point in doing it any sooner, and I don't anticipate any issue. And then obviously, we have the time to have a joint meeting anytime after that, and then we should schedule our hearing, obviously sometime before things go out to print. But with you moving the annual town meeting out, into June or possibly even beyond that, I don't think there's an issue.
Okay. So, we, obviously, the FinCom has some steps to finish vetting through the budget. We still have to wait to hear back from the school on their piece to see if they're gonna make any adjustments to their budget, which is what I heard you say, Kim. And then, at that point, we'll have to figure out how to do our public hearing, which will probably be another Teams meeting or Zoom or something like that. correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
I believe there's one more item that needs to be added, and the chief is trying to be unmuted so he can speak.
Okay.
If he's on his phone,
Yep.
*6. Dave,
*6.
if you're on a phone, if you're on the app, just hit unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, I talked to you a little bit about this yesterday. Myself and the union are trying to work out a schedule for COVID-19. I'm trying to get guys in groups so they're not morale. The exposure rate goes down. So
Is now
groups
joining.
of people together. I've been working with Kim, Attorney Macaro, and the union attorney to come up with a MOU, and this would last for about 60 days. We're probably about 90% done with it. Just wanted to get authorization to be able to sign that and have Kim review it once we're done with it, so we can go on the schedule right away. And again, the purpose is to reduce exposure to officers and residents from us.
Do you want to, do the other two selectmen understand the schedule that you explained to me already, Dave?
No, so what we're working out is there'll be 12-hour shifts, and there'll be 2 guys working per shift. So we'll have a group of, say, 4 guys for 5 days. 2 of them work in the day part of it, 2 of them work in the overnight part of it. And then they'll have 10 days off, and then the rotation will be the next 4 guys will come on, they'll have 10 days off, and the next rotation will come on, they'll have 10 days off, and then it starts right back again for 60 days.
And then once the 60 days is up, it reverts right back to the original schedule.
It'll revert back unless this gets worse or stays the same and we need to revisit it, but we would revisit it and either come up with another document to extend it or look at something at that time. And there's also language in there that, again, if for some reason we have a bout of infections in our department, that we'd have to revisit the schedule again on top of this alternate that we're doing. And this would give us the option also if, say, someone did have an exposure, we got to put them out probably 10 to 14 days anyways and pay them to be out at this point. If it's towards the end of their rotation, they'll already be off 10 days. So we can start doing testing through the state as we have top priority to do that and establish where we are with our staffing.
Okay. I've had the opportunity to speak with the chief already. Lonnie and Mark, do you guys have any questions on this?
No,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Lonnie.
I do not. I briefly spoke to the chief. He gave me the gist of it. I mean, as long as the staff is cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Mark?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. As long as the chief feels that it will work for the community, then I'm good with that.
Great. Yeah, I mean, this is the way I look at it. Chief, I really got to commend you for, trying to think out of the box, keep our employees safe and our citizens safe. You guys are at the front lines of this stuff every day. So I think it's creative. I've heard of other departments doing this also. So I think it's smart and certainly got my support on it. So do we need to take a motion on this, Kim?
Yes. So you're basically authorizing to sign an MOU, or me to sign an MOU, so that, because it's change in employment.
Okay.
So
Do we have that already, or are we still working that out?
I believe we're still working it out. I think it's just, I don't think it's on paper yet. Right.
Can we?
We're about 90% done.
Okay.
And what's your goal to try to
We're
get
about-
this MOU done, signed, Dave?
We'd like to have it, we're trying to work it out. Macaro and I have been working this all day today. I'd like it done by tomorrow morning because we'd like to start the schedule right away. We're about 90% done. We're just working out particulars to make sure we don't contradict the law or the contract. So the reason we would need the authority to sign it is because we're actually kind of, part of the contract will be null and void for 60 days. The part, that has to do with their hours and their scheduled shifts. So we're kind of changing that for 60 days. So I can't just do that on my own. I need to get the authority of you to be able to do that.
So we're doing an addendum to the contract for 60 days, and it's only going to refer to those specific sections within the contract that discusses their schedule.
Correct.
The only thing, I would just like to read it before it's signed and sealed, just to make, and again, not that I'm really looking for changes, I just want to make sure I understand exactly what it says 100%, that's all. So if I can just get a copy before we finalize it, or you know what I mean? But I'm also taking a vote to sign it, that Kim can sign it so we don't delay it till our next meeting, which is the 1st, especially if it's ready tomorrow. I just want to see it before we sign it, that's all.
Can we form the motion, Kim, in a way that it says that the board has a right to review it independently and make comments, or how did we do that?
So Dave, you want to get started this week?
Yeah, I wanted to get started as soon as it's done. We're looking at, Thursday, Friday, probably Thursday, get going on it. The union's been great. They've worked with us. I was surprised that they were so open to it, but I mean, everybody's worried about safety here, and I got to give them a lot of credit. They've stepped forward, and we've come up with a good idea with this. Part of it too is, you'll see when you read it, is during the 5 days, they won't be taking 8 days off. So we won't be spending any overtime, but on the other side of it too, we're going to have them take their personal days and holidays, and we're going to pay them out in June. It's going to save a decent amount of money in overtime. So again, we're trying to be safety-wise here and help out the town, because I know we're going to be in some tough financial times. It's 90% done, so I could send you the copy I have from 4 o'clock today. If you guys want to review it tonight, you could even review it right now if you want. It's not going to change much more than this. It's just
What's it? Is it a paragraph or two, Dave? Is that all it is?
It's about a page. I mean, I can send it to all 3 of you right now.
I would send it now, because otherwise the next time would be May 1st. Unless we move back to Tuesday or some other day.
It just went out to BOS.
Because a quick review right now gets it operational, and then if there's changes that need to be made, at least you'll have the next day or two to get those done and still try to stay on your target.
You all should have it right now. The big section, it's 2 pages, but you can just focus on the numbers 1 through 10. That's the outlining of what we're doing.
I'm going to share the document up on the screen.
Okay.
Jean
is now exiting.
Thank you, Lonnie.
I don't know. I'm not the best with Word.
What are you trying to do?
I can see it just fine.
I can see it.
Yeah, so Dave, why don't you just read through it really quickly?
Okay.
And then you're set. I mean, it's only 12 points, and some of them you already made, right? If we just go through it, then
I'll go through it right now. I mean, there may be a small tweak, but nothing that will change the meaning of it.
Is now exiting.
So here we go. Let's go right from the top. Mendon Police Department shall run 2 shifts, and that shall each be 12 hours in duration. Shift 1 shall run from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Shift 2 shall run from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Bargaining unit members shall work 5 consecutive days, and then except for emergency situations, will be given 10 consecutive days off. Bargaining unit members will not be allowed to utilize vacation, personal days, or any other compensatory time during the 5 consecutive days that they are scheduled to work. Bargaining unit members will not be eligible to perform paid details during the 5 consecutive days they are scheduled to work. During the period of this MOU, bargaining unit members will continue to receive their regular weekly salary. Bargaining unit members will be compensated for actual hours worked for night shift differential and OIC pay. Bargaining unit members will not be entitled to overtime or premium pay during their 5 consecutive workday period. Any vacation time accrued and not used April 23rd, 2020, or any time accrued between April 23rd, 2020 and June 21st, 2020 shall be carried over into the following fiscal year. All holidays and personal time shall be paid to the bargaining unit members at the end of June 2020. Preference and shift assignments will be done based on seniority within the Mendon Police Department. The chief of police or his designee shall have the right to make changes to assignments in order to ensure public safety needs are met. The parties recognize that the COVID-19 pandemic is an evolving situation and this MOU may need to be revisited and possibly mutually revised by the parties. The MOU shall be in effect for a period of 60 days beginning April 21st, 2020 and ending on June 21st, 2020. The MOU may be extended by mutual agreement of the parties. The terms of this MOU shall not constitute a past practice or precedent, including for any future public health issues.
So one comment on number 11, Dave. Just that if we open the state up prior to June 21st, 2020, and things get back to normal, do we want to say on or before June 2020?
We set when I talked to the attorneys, we kind of set a 60 days because people are really changing their lives around. So, I mean, right now, as of today, the schools are now shut down the rest of the school year. We don't think that anything's going to change before the end of June. So if people are rearranging their lives, I hate to say, June 10th, oh, now we're going to open up the state. Hey, you guys, let's go back to normal. Okay. I figured Mike and I thought give a start date and an end date. And then if we're going to revisit it, we'd revisit it like 20 days before if we had to extend it. But people are really going to have to change their lives around to make this schedule work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it just, even if we continued like that until that date, even if we opened up a month or a few weeks earlier, I mean, hopefully it's way sooner, but whatever. I'm being optimistic, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it being a problem even running that way until that date, whether we're open or not, right?
Yeah. And you said that there's a few other things you guys are finalizing. Is there anything contextually that would change on this, Dave?
It just has to do with what we have to make sure. Let me see which number it is. It's
Sorry.
No, I really don't think there's too much. I mean, their attorney's overlooking it. They saw the preview of it before. And I mean, until I hear from him, I don't think there'll be anything. This is pretty much what we all sat down and worked together on the past week or so. We moved pretty quickly the past couple of days, just with everything changing around us and Boston becoming a epic center for Corona, that we're just we want to get into something right away. But I think we're right there. I mean, if anything changed huge, I guess we'd have to go back and look at it with you guys. But I can't see anything being huge.
Okay, I'm good with the way this is written, guys.
Yeah.
Me personally.
I mean, I'll make a motion. I move to accept the MOU between the town of Mendon and the Massachusetts Coalition of Police, AFL-CIO Local 188, as written. How else would I just state this that, with no drastic, I mean.
Maybe give Kim the authorization to determine, I mean, with her judgment, if anything's dramatic enough that has to go back to you or not.
I would say, right. I mean, this MOU is a draft. So basically you're adopting it as is, pending it with, like you said, without substantive changes, right? Contextual changes. And if substantive changes are presented, then it has to be brought back to the board.
Okay. Yep. So again, I move to adopt it as it's written without any substantive changes.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on this?
I do have one question on number 8. It says all holiday and personal time shall be paid to bargaining unit members at the end of June 2020. So holiday meaning like the Memorial Day that would happen between now and then?
No, so it's whatever bank days they have right now. They're not going to be able to use them during these 60 days. And if they did, it would cost overtime and a substantial amount of overtime because now we're doing this. It would cost overtime no matter what. So we're going to pay them straight time instead of paying the overtime now.
For those
The
days.
whole point of doing these 12 hours, yeah, the whole point of paying them doing the 12-hour shifts 5 days a week is so we keep people separated. So I really don't want them using, and they agree with this, they don't want to be using their personal vacation any of that time because then we're defeating the purpose. Now we're going to bring someone in from another group to work. So if there is an exposure, we're just exposing more people. So versus giving days off and paying overtime, we're just going to pay them out their days at straight time.
Amy Wilson Kent.
Is now exiting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I guess so.
It's only time accrued during the 60 days, right, Dave?
No, it's the time on their books.
So
on the books
is
right
it-
now. So I mean, there's not so the time they have, we don't do the schedule. They would use those days with the regular schedule, and I would fill them all at time and a half. So right now they're not using days because the whole purpose is to keep everybody separated and safe. So we're going to pay those
Right,
out straight
I got
time
it.
now instead of paying time and a half.
Because they're use them or lose them. Yeah.
Exactly. And but the vacation time, we're going to carry that over to the following year and let them use it next year.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so the likelihood that they would have used those holiday bank days and personal time days, it's likely they would have tried to use them all anyway.
Well, they would have had to use them. By contract, they have to use them by the end of June. By July 1st, they have to use them. So they would have used them all. So with this coming on so quick, people had planned vacations, people had planned things going on. But COVID, no one's going anywhere. They would have just burned them to burn them. And they had to get rid of them. So we had to give them to them, and we had to pay overtime to fill them.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's actually a great part on the union with, they're saying they don't mind working the schedule, and on top of it, they'll take the straight time instead of the opportunity for overtime to get those shifts.
Okay. Any other questions, Mark?
No, that's it.
Okay. I'm fine with this, guys. So I'll take a vote.
Real eye.
Tenio, aye.
Burke, aye. All right, Dave, thank you very much for that. Kim, do we have anything else
Thank
we
you.
need to discuss?
No, I believe we are all set for now.
Okay, great. I'd just like to thank everybody for attending tonight's meeting. It's good to see some faces, not everybody's face, but see some faces on the Teams portal. Hopefully we don't have to continue on doing these types of meetings for long, but in the meantime, we only had one technical difficulty tonight, so we're pretty fortunate. We'll see if we can work out the bugs for the future. All right, so thank you very much, everybody, and have a good night.
Hey, 1 second, Chris, we're just gonna do, the only real concern was seeing more people in the view. right?
Is now exiting.
Right.
Say that one more time.
The only big problem was, seeing more people in the view, right?
Yeah, seeing more people in the view, and then there was obviously a lot of people that had to dial in. I think that we need instructions in our agenda that tell
Chief
people
Kersey.
how to mute
Is
and
now
unmute
exiting.
their phones.
Right.
If they're dialing in, and I certainly think that we have to work with Cindy to make sure that she really has a good handle on how to get in and get out and not go through work computers and personal computers and remote desktop and all that other stuff, and get the feedback issues resolved.
Yep, 10-4. I'll catch up with Cindy during the week. I can definitely help her with that. I know what she was doing wrong. Well, not doing wrong, but I know where the problem lies.
What the issues were. Yeah. So, I think it worked pretty good, Lonnie, to be honest with you. tonight. I think the only difference between this and Zoom is that in Zoom, you can see everybody in the, on the call. You can talk
Instead of
about,
just icons down below.
yeah, exactly. And I believe that the moderator can also, or the chair in this case, can sit there and mute and unmute.
I was just thinking of that. To unmute somebody though, they need to know you unmuted them. You could unmute somebody and they could be doing something horrible in the background. That would be like turning their video and audio. I see why you can't do it now. Like I thought about it.
Yeah.
Then I
That
said,
makes
oh,
sense.
I see why that is that way. I mean, if somebody wants to be muted, then they don't want you to hear what they're saying.
Yeah. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take all this conversation? You'll work on it. You can work through Kim. We'll take it offline. You're the technical expert. You know what we need to do. I think it's worked well for what we've been up against.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Take
Bye.
care. See you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks.
Do we need to vote to end the meeting?
Yes, that's right. Somebody.
I think they're gone.
I think
Simon Van Hoff.
they
Is
lack of
now
quorum,
exiting.
automatically ended.
All right.
Oh.
Oh, man.
So moved.